Hello, and welcome to Lila's Lullabies, where we spend time exploring with Lyla, a traveler who wanders the world at her own pace while sharing her most enriching and restorative moments with you. In tonight's story, we'll follow Lyla as she explores the extraordinary city of Berlin, Germany. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to remember. Just settle in, get comfortable, and let yourself go. We're so glad you're here. Whenever you're ready, let's begin. Lyla's friend Marina was up before everyone else, standing at the hotel window with coffee, looking out over Berlin in the early morning light. When the others started stirring, she was already dressed and checking her notebook. "Someone's eager," Beth said, yawning. "We have a lot to see," Marina said. "I made a list." "Of course you did," Josie said. "Let me guess. It's organized by neighborhood and historical period?" "Chronologically, actually. We're starting with the Reichstag and working forward through the 20th century." "Okay, history nerd. Give us a few minutes to catch up," Claire said affectionately, heading to the bathroom. The friendship between the five of them, Lyla, Marina, Beth, Claire, and Josie, went back to college days and shared apartments and late-night conversations that had solved the world's problems. Life had scattered them across different cities, different careers, different paths. But the bond had remained, and these days, the glue were these meetups when they each took turns choosing an amazing global location. Marina had suggested Berlin for their next destination, and flights were booked in no time. They had breakfast at the hotel, bread and cheese and cold cuts and strong coffee, the May morning bright and promising through the windows. Berlin was awake and moving, the streets already busy with bikes and cars and people heading to work. "So explain the plan," Lyla said, spreading Nutella on a slice of bread. Marina pulled out her notebook. "Reichstag building first. I got us on the early tour so we can go up to the dome. Then Brandenburg Gate, memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe, Checkpoint Charlie. We'll break for lunch, then the East Side Gallery, the Topography of Terror, and maybe the Berlin Wall Memorial if we have time." "That's a heavy day," Beth observed. "It's Berlin," Marina said simply. "The history is heavy, but it's also incredible, seeing how a city rebuilt itself, how it's dealt with its past. I've wanted to show you all this for a long time." They took the U-Bahn to the Reichstag, and Marina navigated the system with obvious familiarity, checking signs and making sure everyone stayed together. The May morning was cool but pleasant, and when they emerged above ground, the Reichstag building rose before them, impressive and imposing, its stone facade speaking to both history and resilience. "The building was badly damaged in World War II," Marina explained as they approached. "Then it sat mostly unused during the division. After reunification, they renovated it completely, kept the historical exterior but made the interior modern. The glass dome on top is new, added in the 1990s. It's a symbol. Transparency in government, the people above the politicians." They went through security and joined their tour group. The guide was a young German woman who spoke excellent English, and she led them through the building's history. The fire in 1933 that the Nazis used as a pretext for seizing power, the damage from the Battle of Berlin, the famous photo of Soviet soldiers raising their flag on the roof, the years of abandonment, and finally, the renovation and return to use as the seat of German parliament. The glass dome at the top was spectacular, a spiral ramp leading up, offering 360-degree views of Berlin. The May morning light streamed through the glass, and they could see across the city. The Brandenburg Gate nearby, the Tiergarten Park spreading green to the west, the TV tower at Alexanderplatz in the distance. "This is incredible," Claire said, taking photos. "You can see everything." "That's the point," Marina said. "Citizens can literally look down on their government. It's a statement about democracy. The people are sovereign, the government serves them." After the Reichstag, they walked to the Brandenburg Gate. The iconic structure stood at the edge of the Tiergarten, its columns and quadriga sculpture familiar from countless photos and films. "This was right at the border," Marina said. "The gate stood in no man's land when the wall went up. You couldn't walk through it. It was blocked off, part of the death strip. Now it's the symbol of reunification, of Berlin coming back together." They walked through the gate, and Marina paused on the other side, looking back at it. "My grandmother told me about when the wall fell. She was here, in this exact spot, when they opened the crossing. Thousands of people celebrating, crying, unable to believe it was real. She said it was the most joyful night of her life." The others were quiet, letting the moment sit. "Anyway," Marina said, clearing her throat, "next stop." The memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe was just south of the Brandenburg Gate, a field of 2-7-1-1 concrete slabs arranged in a grid, varying in height, creating a disorienting, maze-like effect. They entered the memorial, and immediately the noise of the city faded. The slabs created corridors that rose and fell, and as you walked deeper in, the blocks towered overhead, creating a sense of being lost, of losing your bearings. "It's intentionally unsettling," Marina said quietly. "You're supposed to feel uncomfortable, disoriented. That's part of the point." They wandered through the memorial in silence, sometimes together, sometimes losing sight of each other among the concrete blocks. The May sun created sharp shadows, and the effect was both beautiful and haunting. Beneath the memorial was an information center, and they descended to find rooms documenting the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews, told through individual stories and families. The show was presented not as abstract numbers, but as human beings, people with names, faces, lives that were stolen. "Room of names," Marina said softly, leading them to a darkened room where names were read aloud continuously. They read the names of all known Holocaust victims, along with brief biographies. It takes over 6 years to read all the names. Then they start over. They stood listening to the names. Sarah Rosenberg, born 1891, deported to Auschwitz 1943, murdered. David Weiss, born 1925, Warsaw Ghetto, died 1943. Each name, a person, a life, a story ended. When they emerged back into the sunlight, everyone was quiet. They walked toward Checkpoint Charlie, the famous Cold War border crossing, now a tourist site with actors in American and Soviet uniforms posing for photos. It's so commercialized now, Marina said, looking at the tourist shops and photo ops. But this was where people risked everything to escape. People died trying to cross here. They visited the Checkpoint Charlie Museum, which documented escape attempts, tunnels dug under the wall, people hidden in car trunks, hot air balloons, every desperate, creative method people used to reach freedom. Some attempts succeeded. Many didn't. An older German man was also viewing the exhibits, and when he noticed them, he spoke. "You are visiting here?" "We are," Beth said. "I was a boy when the wall went up," he said, his English heavily accented. "I remember it. Suddenly our city was divided, families separated. People couldn't see relatives who lived on the other side. It was insane, but we lived with it because we had no choice. When it fell, I was a grown man with children of my own. I brought them here to Checkpoint Charlie, and I told them, 'Remember this. Remember what happens when people build walls, when they let fear divide them.'" "Do you think reunification worked?" Josie asked. "It's still working," he said. "It's not finished. There are still differences between East and West, economically, culturally. But we're one country again, one city. That's something. My grandchildren, they don't even think about East and West. For them, it's just Berlin. That's progress." They broke for lunch at a place Marina knew, a casual restaurant serving currywurst, Berlin's famous fast food of sliced sausage covered in curry-spiced ketchup. "This is quintessentially Berlin," Marina said as they ate standing at high tables. "Post-war food, created in the rubble. Now it's an institution." "It's surprisingly good," Claire said. "I mean, it's sausage and ketchup, but somehow it works." After lunch, they took the U-Bahn toward the East Side Gallery. The longest remaining section of the Berlin Wall had been transformed into an open-air gallery. Artists from around the world painting murals on the eastern side. They walked along the wall, taking in the art, some of it famous, like the image of Brezhnev and Honecker kissing, some of it abstract, all of it commenting on division, freedom, hope, politics. The May afternoon was warm now, and other tourists and locals walked the length of the wall, taking photos, reading the information plaques. "It's strange," Lyla said. Seeing the wall covered in art turned into something beautiful. When it stood, it was a barrier, a symbol of oppression. Now it's a monument, a canvas. "That's very Berlin," Marina said, taking something terrible and transforming it, not erasing the history, but repurposing it, giving it new meaning. From the East Side Gallery, they walked to the Topography of Terror, an outdoor and indoor museum built on the site where the Gestapo and SS headquarters had stood. The exhibits documented the machinery of Nazi terror, how the police state functioned, how dissent was crushed, how the Holocaust was organized and implemented. "This is where it all happened," Marina said, looking at the photographs of Nazi officials at their desks, making decisions about deportations and executions. These were ordinary buildings, government offices. That's the horror of it. Evil enacted by bureaucrats filling out forms. The outdoor portion showed excavated remains of the basement cells where political prisoners had been held and tortured. The ruins sat beneath the modern city, a reminder of what lay beneath. An outdoor section traced the wall's path, with information about the death strip, the zone between the inner and outer walls where escapees could be shot. The scale of the security apparatus was staggering. Watchtowers, dogs, guards, tripwires, all to keep people from leaving. The wall only came down in 1989, Beth said. That's not that long ago. They were starting to feel the weight of the day, the emotional heaviness of the subject matter, the sheer amount of walking, the intensity of the history. Marina checked her phone. The Berlin Wall Memorial is a bit of a trip from here, she said. We could skip it if people are tired. Let's go, Claire said. We came to see it all. They took the U-Bahn to the Bernauer Strasse Memorial, a preserved section of the wall showing the full death strip, the inner wall, the outer wall, the space between. An observation tower let visitors look down on the setup, understanding the scale of it. Families were separated literally overnight, Marina said, pointing at the information displays. The street here, Bernauer Strasse, the buildings on one side were in the east, the other side in the west. People jumped from windows on this side to escape to the west. Some made it, some didn't. The Chapel of Reconciliation stood on the site of a church that had been demolished because it stood in the death strip. The new chapel was simple and beautiful, a place for quiet reflection. They stood inside the chapel for a few moments, grateful for the silence, for a space to just breathe and process everything they'd seen. Ice cream? Marina suggested when they emerged. I think we've earned it. They found a place selling gelato and sat on a bench in a small park, eating in companionable silence. The May afternoon was beautiful, trees in full leaf, flowers blooming, children playing, the ordinary business of life continuing around the monuments to extraordinary history. Heavy day, Josie finally said. Yeah, Marina agreed, but important. Berlin doesn't hide from its history. It's everywhere. The memorials, the museums, the preserved wall sections. Germans could have bulldozed everything, tried to forget. Instead, they chose to remember, to confront it, to make sure it's not forgotten. Is it hard? Beth asked. Coming here, seeing all this? Marina was quiet for a moment. It's complicated. There's pride in how Germany has dealt with its past, the way we've faced it, acknowledged it, built memorials, educated people. But there's also shame in what happened. You carry both. You have to. That's honest, Lyla said. It's the only way to be, Marina said. Anything else is denial, and we've seen where that leads. They finished their gelato and walked back toward the hotel, taking a longer route through the Tiergarten, Berlin's massive central park. The paths wound through trees, past ponds and monuments, cyclists passing them in both directions. This is nice, Claire said. Trees and green space after all that concrete and history. The Tiergarten was bombed heavily during the war, Marina said. After, Berliners cut down the remaining trees for firewood because they were freezing. The park was completely bare. Then they replanted thousands of trees, donated from all over Germany. Now look at it. The park was lush and full of life. People jogging, families having picnics, couples walking hand in hand. The May evening was approaching, the light golden and warm. Back at the hotel, they cleaned up and changed, then met in the lobby. Marina had found a restaurant in Kreuzberg, a neighborhood known for its Turkish community and vibrant culture. "I want you to try real Berlin food," she said. "Not just currywurst." The restaurant served traditional German dishes, and they ordered family-style schnitzel and sauerbraten, potato dumplings and red cabbage, bread and beer. The portions were enormous, and they ate with appetite, the day's walking having earned them proper hunger. "Okay, this is delicious," Beth said, cutting into the schnitzel. "I could eat this every day." "Give it a week and you'd be tired of it," Marina said. "German food is hearty but not subtle." "Says the woman who ate 3 plates of sauerbraten," Josie pointed out. "It's good sauerbraten," Marina protested. After dinner, they walked through Kreuzberg, a neighborhood that felt different from the historical center. Graffitied buildings, alternative culture, Turkish shops and restaurants, a younger, artsy vibe. "This is the Berlin people actually live in," Marina said. "Not the tourist sites, but the real neighborhoods." Kreuzberg used to be right against the wall. It was neglected, cheap rent, so artists and immigrants moved here. Now it's trendy, which means it's getting expensive, which means the artists are being pushed out. Same story as everywhere. They found a bar with outdoor seating and ordered drinks, beer for some, wine for others. The May evening was mild, and the neighborhood was alive with people out enjoying it. "Thank you for today," Lyla said to Marina. "I know it was intense, but it was important to see." "I really wanted to share it with you," Marina said. "Berlin is where my history is. And you can't understand Germany without understanding Berlin, and you can't understand Berlin without understanding what happened here." "Heavy responsibility for one city," Claire said. "Berlin carries it," Marina said. "Sometimes better than others, but it does." They stayed at the bar until the evening deepened into night, then walked back to their hotel through streets that were still lively with nightlife. Berlin's reputation as a party city was evident. Clubs and bars still going strong, people spilling onto sidewalks, music thumping from doorways. Back at the hotel, they gathered in one room as usual. Someone found a German news channel on TV, and though none of them except Marina could understand it, they watched for a while anyway, the familiar rhythms of television news somehow comforting. "What's tomorrow?" Beth asked. "Lighter day," Marina promised. "Museum Island, maybe some shopping, definitely coffee and cake at a proper cafe." Today was the heavy history. Tomorrow is culture and relaxation. They talked for a while longer, processing the day, sharing moments that had stuck with them. The room of names reading out victims, the death strip at Bernauer Strasse, the murals on the East Side Gallery, the weight of walking through the topography of terror, understanding the bureaucracy of evil. "Cities hold history," Josie said, "but Berlin holds it in a different way, more deliberately, more visibly." Eventually, they dispersed. Lyla went to her room and settled by the window, looking out at Berlin at night. The city lights spread in every direction, and she could see the TV tower in the distance, lit up and rotating. She thought about the day, the Reichstag's glass dome symbolizing transparency, the Brandenburg Gate standing as witness to division and reunification, The concrete slabs of the Holocaust Memorial, the wall sections preserved and painted. Layer upon layer of history, all visible, all acknowledged. Marina had wanted to share this with them, to show them the city and its history. And in doing so, she'd shared something of herself, her connection to this place, her family's history, the complexity of carrying that particular legacy. The May night was quiet from her window, just the distant sounds of the city continuing its evening. Berlin never stopped. It had survived war and division and reunification, and it kept going, kept evolving, kept confronting its past while building its future. Lyla thought about the man at Checkpoint Charlie, talking about his grandchildren, not thinking about East and West, about how time changes things, how new generations bring new perspectives, but also about the importance of remembering, of keeping the history alive so the lessons aren't lost. The city breathed around her, this complicated, fascinating place that refused simple narratives. Berlin demanded something of its visitors: attention, reflection, a willingness to sit with discomfort. It didn't let you look away from the hard parts of history, but it also showed you resilience, transformation, the possibility of facing terrible truth and moving forward. She sat by the window for a long time, watching the lights of Berlin, feeling grateful for Marina's willingness to share this place, this history, this piece of herself. Tomorrow would be lighter. Museums and cafes and the pleasures of being tourists. But tonight she held the weight of what they'd seen, letting it settle, understanding a little more about history, about memory, about the cities that carry both.